Hi, and welcome to Matt Holman Talks Mental Health, the podcast where I have the opportunity to chat to amazing humans about their journeys. For this episode, I'm so happy to introduce Dylan Jones to the conversation, talking about neurodiversity. Dylan, welcome to the conversation.
Hiya.
Hi, lovely to see you and lovely to meet you for the first time as well. Now, Dylan, you're going to be talking a little bit about your journey with autism. So I'm just going to leave that with you. I'm going to get you to tell us a bit of a story, but tell us a little bit about your perspective.
Well, about it all my life. I was diagnosed. I don't know when I was diagnosed. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I think it was younger as opposed to later in life.
Yeah.
I know that I was about 5 months old, and my parents had told me all this, but I was about 5 months old and in hospital, and they said that it turned out that I had a stroke shortly after I was born,
Right. Wow.
which and the doctors didn't think I was going to be here as a consequence. And it looked like I had all sorts of medical things when I was just until I was 3, and then it's all cleared up now. But yeah, and then later they diagnosed me with autism.
Yeah, well, that was obviously a very traumatic experience when you were very, very little, right? And I know your dad
Yeah,
had given me some sort of insights into a little bit about that journey as well. And I think your diagnosis for autism was around the age of 7 and 8, or 7 to 8 years old, maybe.
yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Do you remember much about that? Do you remember much about when it was happening?
No, not
Not
really.
really.
No, no.
No. And then do you remember sort of what changed for you when they knew that you had autism?
Yeah, I think it was more considerate over when things weren't quite right. Like, for example, if I forgot something, there's more consideration over that, or
Yeah.
if there's a problem with school that would be at a time, then it'd be a case of that was taken into consideration as well. Whereas beforehand, it'd be, excuse me, like, why is he reacting in this way to whatever scenario it might be? Whereas
Yeah.
with that diagnosis, it's a case of, okay, that's the reason, we understand it all now.
Yeah, it makes big sense, doesn't it? When you're aware of it, that people can make those adjustments. Did you find them very supportive at school for you?
Yeah, I did been supportive all the way along, still are.
Brilliant. And are you still in education now, are you?
Um,
I know you're working as well, but
yeah, I'm in an apprenticeship at the
okay.
moment. I've been doing that since November.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's in engineering.
Amazing. Brilliant. And it's in a bit of a passion project for you, isn't it, as well? To do with
Yeah, it has been really.
tell us a bit
Like,
about that.
I've been around old vehicles all my life, really.
Yeah.
Sort of growing up with it, grandparents having a collection. My uncle had a tractor when I was little.
Okay.
Um, I've gone into myself, like, I've started collecting my own stuff as well now.
Brilliant.
And yeah, it's just thought to myself, well, this would be a good career. I enjoy it that much.
Amazing. Yeah. And how are you finding your apprenticeship?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's good. Like, I'm in they call it your cohort. It's like a group of boys and lads or lasses sort of thing, and
Yeah.
they're all a nice bunch. The
Excellent.
apprenticeship team are very supportive. I've had to leave my job recently due to unfortunate circumstances.
Right.
Um, so that's not been very easy, but
Okay.
um, yeah, we're sort of coming out of that a little bit more now.
Yeah. But the apprenticeship is working well for you.
Yeah, they've been supportive throughout it,
Yeah.
and
And what
it,
so what sort of adjustments have they made for you? Have they made adjustments for you? Do they have any sort of experience around working with people with autism?
I get the impression they have
Okay.
sort of um, they have offered to make adjustments and things.
Okay.
With the practical side of things, I don't necessarily need it. Like, I can get on with that and be all right. It might take me a bit longer, but
Yeah.
than most people because of processing. But that's it really. With the theory side, like, offered, they have offered notes and things before now, and they've said about taking pictures of PowerPoints, and they've been saying about writing all of that down. So they have been offering support as well.
Yeah, brilliant. And they obviously are aware of those adjustments that they might need to make, which is good. Which is good if they're able to provide that for you. And what about sort of other parts of your life then? So obviously this is talking or learning a little bit about your perspective with your autism. What about other areas of your life, things that you thrive in or things that you might struggle with?
Well, things I'm normally quite good at as a result of this diagnosis, like I can remember, my memory can be quite photographic. Like
Okay.
I can remember registration plates of vehicles quite well. I can remember like how to drive stuff, that comes to me quite easily.
Okay.
Just I can remember, like for example, like beers I'm in old vehicles, like you have to do grease points occasionally.
Yep.
And just like little points that you have to put grease in, but I don't know how to describe it, but
Yeah.
I can remember as to what vehicle has got how many of them and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one good thing that's come out of it all.
Yeah. What about on the side of struggles? What do you find difficult or more challenging?
That can be that's again memory, but
Okay.
it's a case of that means that I'm not so good at remembering. Like I can walk, I will or processing. Oh, I can't think straight.
Right.
I can walk into a room sometimes if I've got a lot going on in my head. I can walk into a room and go, "Now I've come in here for a reason. I know I've come in here for a reason, but I can't think to myself what."
Yeah.
I imagine we all do that, but I do it far more frequently than most people.
Do you?
Yeah, no. If I'm working on something, then I can put a tool down right next to my head and forget as to where it, or right next to my hand and forget where it is.
Right.
Look through the rest of the shed or through the rest of the workshop.
Yeah.
And then I'll find it right where I was after having done all of that searching.
Right. Right.
Mm.
So yeah, well, yeah, I guess that's quite a small thing, but also then it can become quite a big thing, can it? Can you find that sort of
Yeah, it
stresses you a
sometimes
little bit?
can.
Yeah. And what about sort of
Mm.
managing your stresses and stuff? How do you manage your when you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed with things? What do you do?
Normally just take the tractor out on the road. I've got 2 tractors, take them
Okay.
down the road.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah,
So
that's
do
quite relaxing.
you hold up the traffic at all? Or is it quiet?
Yeah, I
Quiet road?
do. I drove into town
Okay.
on when would it have been? It would have been 23rd of February.
Okay.
I drove in last Thursday and drove into town because the barbers in town has got a wall in there of different, like crazy different vehicles and things that people have bought in. So I drove it into town. I've taken both of them now, and I held up the traffic all the way through there because basically the way that one works is you can either go 5 miles an hour or 10 miles an hour, and
Oh
it's the
wow.
case that there's not much in between.
I really
So it's easier to
quite.
go through town at 5 because if somebody runs out in the middle of the road, which they always do,
Yeah.
then um, then you've got more chance of stopping.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
did that, and half of Dorking were behind me. And when the barbers put on their Facebook page, then it was a case of quite a few people came back and said, "Oh, I followed him all the way through town."
Amazing. Oh wow, that's interesting, isn't it? Do you how do you feel when you're being followed by so many cars? Are you all right with it?
I don't mind it. I
No.
mean, there's a rule all around it that you're supposed to pull over and let people past. And the thing is when you're going through the town, it's not really practical to do
Of
that, and
course.
you just have to keep going, and people will
Yeah.
overtake when they want. Um, when you're out on the country lanes, it's a lot easier. Like if you have a long straight bit of road, I just wave people past.
Yeah.
If it's the case of I notice a queue of traffic forming behind me, but the thing is after this stuff, you haven't got wing mirrors on. It's a case of you have to turn your head around and have a look.
Got you. Yeah.
And that it's just sometimes you just have to pull over and let them all through.
Yeah.
But yeah, it depends as to where you're going and what roads you're on.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Well, if that's what you enjoy and it makes you feel happy and things like that, then that's a positive, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Do you show your tractors? Do you? Do you do that?
Yeah, I do. I've last year I did 8 different events where I took something to them. And this year I'm currently booked into I'm currently booked into 3 different events.
Okay.
And I've got about 4 or 5 more others that I'm planning on attending with something.
Wow. Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's really good. Excellent. And what about, have you got any other things that you're interested in, or is it all about the tractors at the moment?
It's mostly that. I mean, I've got, you might be able to see on your screen, there's like a little bit of white. Oh no, that's the wrong way. No, you can't. That way, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, it's always hard, isn't it, to know which
that
way?
side, that little white sheet there, that's piano music. I've got a piano there. I've been doing that since I was 10. My grandma taught me.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah. And do you find that quite relaxing as well?
Yeah, it's nice. It's just something nice
Yes.
to do. And I imagine for those, like particularly my grandma now, she's of a certain age, shall we say, then
Yeah.
it helps to keep your hands flexible and helps to keep your fingers working. And I quite enjoy doing it. It's just something nice to do.
Brilliant. Yeah. So you must be a pretty good level then if you've been playing since you were 10.
Not really, no. I'm
Oh, you're
just
not?
just
Okay.
been doing it casually.
But if you enjoy it, have you had lessons and things like that, or just your gran taught you?
Yeah. The thing is they go on holiday quite a lot, so
Okay.
it's the case of what was happening until I did my GCSEs. I was just having lessons once a week when they were around.
Got you.
And then did my when I was doing my GCSEs, I had an additional tutor because I did GCSE music.
Yeah.
And then after I did that, then it just went back to with my grandma, and I've sort of done it casually then. And unfortunately, work has taken over, and apprenticeship and things like that.
Yeah.
But I still do it as and when I get the chance.
Brilliant. That's really good. Well, it's good to have a few things that you're interested in as well. And sort of what about routines for you? Because I hear often about with autism. My daughter has autism as well. Is routines is quite a big part of her daily program.
Yeah, I do quite like that myself, to be honest. I do.
Yeah.
I have like a morning routine, or I like to do stuff. I'm quite good. Like if I have to get up at a certain time each day for work or for my apprenticeship, when I go on block release there, then I'm pretty good at getting up at a certain time and getting there.
Yeah. That's good. How do you feel if things aren't quite going as the way you expect them to? How does that make you feel, Dylan?
Depends what the scenario is. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's all right. It's kind of expected, particularly with all this old stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can make me feel quite pressurized, and sometimes it can make me feel a bit panicked, and things means that I might do things that sort of seem quite irrational.
Okay.
And not necessarily violent or anything. Just I might forget something that most people would look at it and go, hang on now, we know he's got autism, but how come you've forgotten that? It's a case of it's a case of that might happen.
Yeah.
And it happens more when I've got a lot going on in my head.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And is that when you go and then start tinkering with the tractor or playing the piano a little bit more? Is that what you tend to do?
That's normally when like when that happens. Normally I do that.
Yeah. So it's a good outlet for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got 2 dogs as well, so sometimes it's just nice to go for a walk with them. There's one of them, he gets walked once a day for an hour or something, and he's quite happy with that. He's a bit lazy. If he lay in bed all day, he'd be quite happy.
Oh, really?
But the other one, she is a bit nuts. She will keep going and going and going and going. We took her for a walk. My mum took her for a 2-hour walk the other day. She saw me heading out to walk the other one because didn't know what time she'd be back. And then she said to me, "Oh, you going to take her then?" And I took her off my mum, went for another hour.
She was happy.
Yeah, she was quite happy.
Yeah. What breed is she?
They're both border terriers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. So it's a lot of energy, right? A lot of energy there.
Yeah, yeah.
Lead a lot of walking. Oh, that's brilliant. Well, that's, and getting outside. I know obviously you're from sort of a country background, right? So
Yeah.
growing up around farming and all those elements. So do you find the
Mm.
outdoors helps you as well in terms of being out in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
fresh
I
air?
do. Yeah, I quite enjoy being out in the fresh air. Like
Yeah.
when I work on my stuff, then I will, if it's a nice day, then I will sometimes push it outside and do
Yeah.
stuff, because it's, particularly if I'm cleaning it, because it's a lot nicer to be out there in the fresh air than to be stuck inside the shed all day.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, it's a little bit bitter out there at the moment today. So I don't know if you ventured outside yet today. It's a
I
bit
haven't,
cold.
no.
Bit cold, but the blue sky. So yeah, it's all nice.
Yeah,
So blue
yeah,
sky, wrap up warm.
yeah. I don't feel temperature very well, so
Do you not? Okay.
like all five of my senses are affected essentially. So
Okay.
I don't feel temperature very well. So I drive along. I drove down to my old agricultural college. I stayed there for 2 years,
Right.
and I drove down to there Friday, and I had the windows wide open all the way down and the windows wide open all the way back.
Wow. Really incredible.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed the fresh air.
Right. Okay. Okay. So you don't feel the cold so much then?
No, no, I
Okay.
don't. I'm not too bothered by it, or
Right.
heat. I'm not too bothered by, like,
Yeah.
I've been involved with steam engines for quite some years, and
Yeah.
I've been to events before now. It's been 30 degrees, been standing there on it, and everyone else is in a vest, and it's a case of, and I'm there in a long sleeve shirt, sort of like dungaree type things,
Oh
and
wow. Yeah.
people are like, "Are you not roasting hot?" And I go, "It's warm, but it's not. I'm not too bad actually."
Yeah. Incredible, isn't it? And you mentioned the five senses there. So what other things in terms of the senses do you experience? Do you
My sight is not great, so
right?
I'm 19 in 6 days' time,
Okay. Happy birthday.
and thanks. And my glasses is a similar prescription to my parents, and I've got reading glasses as well.
Okay.
And I'm only that young, whereas my parents are just starting to get reading glasses, and sort of approaching the they're approaching their 50s. So
Right.
it's, yeah, that's quite heavily impacted.
Yep.
My hearing's never been great either,
Okay.
particularly because all of this old stuff is loud. That doesn't help it.
Yeah.
I've had problems like with I've had to have my ears flushed out and things, and
Yeah.
that that's not very pleasant.
No.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, before COVID, I couldn't taste or smell things like most people.
Okay.
Like my smell is almost completely useless. I can smell about petrol, oil, and coal, and that's about it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and other
Okay.
than that, there's not much else.
Yeah. What about food and things like that? Can you smell any foods, or is it just everything's
Sometimes
bland?
if I can, I normally have to stick my nose right in there.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Fair
Yeah.
enough. Oh, wow. Well, I think that's fascinating to sort of hear those elements, because they're things that we don't always associate with, with autism necessarily, for people that don't understand what it is. And I think it's really useful for
Mm.
you to sort of share some of those thoughts and experiences for others who will listen to this. And this episode, and for all these episodes that I'm recording for Neurodiversity
Mm.
Celebration Week, is more
Mm.
to give people an insight and a perspective into somebody's world.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share, Dylan? Anything else for you?
Um, No, I can think of off the top of my head. The
All
only thing
right.
I can think of is like with people who are neurodiverse, like it's always worth taking into account the fact that they are neurodiverse,
Yep.
because otherwise later down the line, either you might find that you look back and you go, actually, we should have done something about that. We should have taken into account
Yeah.
that this person's neurodiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because particularly with my work, I won't mention where I worked, but it was the case that there was a lot of unfair treatment around autism there, and now as a consequence, and they got rid of me as a consequence. But yeah, very friendly towards it all.
Yeah. It's sad, isn't it? And it's the lack of awareness and the lack of understanding, and you know, these episodes and this is why we're trying to raise awareness. And to do that, we need to listen to people that are living with these experiences, with autism and with the different types of divergences. I think it's fascinating, Dylan. I really do, and I'm really, you know, I'm happy to hear that you're in a place where you're with the apprenticeship, you're doing something that you actually love as well. So that's a real positive, and I wish you continued success on that. We are right at the end of this now, and this journey, albeit it's brief, it's so informative and so you know, so helpful in raising awareness. Just want to say a huge thank you to you, Dylan. Thank you so much for
thank you for having me.
No, you're more than welcome. Thank you for participating in this episode. I've really enjoyed listening to you, and I wish you all the very best with your tractors and your shows, and tinkling the ivories on the piano, and enjoying everything that your life brings to you as well. So thank you so much, Dylan. I wish you all the best. Okay, take care.
All right.
Bye now.
You too.